Hello and welcome to Kedrick Farms. We're back with another episode of UMRV Upper Mississippi River Valley by DJ Modding, and today we're going to be running over some cows apparently. That's par for the course, but seriously, we're going to be jumping out here and harvesting our alfalfa and clover for the first time. I'm really excited. I've been putting a lot of thought into how we want to do this, what we want to use it for. We've got the big silo system set up here, and we've been feeding our cows with TMR. And originally, I was thinking about updating the map to allow the crops to be used to mix with TMR, because we will get specific types of hay off of our alfalfa and our clover. And DJ Modding actually did release an update to the map, which I haven't updated to because I've heard some people saying they had to start a new save, which I don't want to do. It shouldn't be required, but I haven't had a chance to look into it yet. So if you've been playing along on UMRV, there is an update out, and it's something that fixes a lot of different issues. I believe DJ Modding said that in the update he was going to make the clover and alfalfa have a faster growth cycle for multiple cuttings, very similar to how grass works. I haven't played around with this at all, so we're going to find out how it works in the base version here. And we may have to get into that update when we hit the winter, where it's a little bit easier when you don't have crops in the ground if you do need to make a map change to jump in there and do that. But I'm going to come out here. I believe this blue stuff is our... Is this our clover? I think this is the clover out here. Let's jump out and find out real quick. Yeah, this is going to be our clover. Can't wait. So we're going to cut this, and we're going to use the swather, the conditioner here, I should say, to turn that straight into hay. I was kind of curious, though, just to step out here. Our corn is coming up great. It looks like we're getting to about waist high. Can't wait to get into some more corn silage. We're running low, to be honest. But today we're going to cut this clover hay, and then we're going to be using this hay as the feed for our animals, the baby animals, when we get the baby animals here soon. Now, you can see I'm getting, if I get too close to the edge, I'm getting some grass here. So I think what I'm going to do is stay off of the edge of the field here. I want to make sure I get as much of this clover as possible, and all this clover hay is going to end up going into the small barn that we don't have any animals in yet. And then once we get that filled up with some hay, that's where I'm going to move all of the baby animals to, and they're just going to eat hay until they come of age, because there's no point in feeding TMR to our baby animals. They don't need the productivity until they're ready to start producing milk, and I think that's going to be the way to do it. Gives us a nice distinction between the two barns on where to put the food. And yeah, I'm kind of just driving all over the place here. We're going to take a headland pass off around the outside, and then I'm going to get a GPS track going on my way back down, I think is the plan here. And then I will circle back around one more time and clean up the edge, but that'll all be like regular hay, and we'll figure out what I'm going to do with that. I don't know. This is an experiment, that's for sure, folks. All right, here we go. Let's see. I need a GPS course, and we're going to do that right on the 0 degree. Here we go. Yep, this should work out great. We'll get everything straightened out here on our first run down, and then subsequent runs will be more efficient here. Should have done this on our first pass, I suppose, but we weren't really paying attention. Now, over on this side, I'm not sure exactly where the best place is going to be to do our up-down row. Looks like we're a ways away from where we need to be, so I'm going to back up here a little bit and see if I can guess where my long row is real quick, and then we'll again clean this up better next time. This is the worst way to probably approach tackling this field. I don't know what I'm doing. We've never actually cut clover before, I don't think, so I'm just gonna make it up as we go. We'll get a few straight lines cut here, and then we're definitely going to have to get out here with the rake and clean this all up because I'm just making a mess of things. I'm a little bit nervous on how picking this stuff up is going to go when we get out here to actually start putting it into the forage boxes, but we'll figure that out too. If I have too much random grass around, we're going to have a lot of problems with deleting crops as we mix fill types into a pickup container. So that's the big concern right now with having some of that grass mixed in here. Now, I suppose the other question I have here is, could I hire a worker to tackle some of this now that I've got some headland passes and straight rows knocked out? I'm kind of curious. I can't remember. I haven't really played with this too much. We could have set off a course play course, obviously, on this, which would have been good. I figured these are small fields, and we haven't done it in a while, so I wanted to just jump in the mower here and do a little bit myself. Maybe on the next field over here. Well, the next field's even worse for course play, so I think we'll probably just be knocking both of these out ourselves today. It's not a big deal. I find on any given day I go back and forth on whether or not I want to leverage some automation to help me out or just jump in and drive on my own. We're getting closer and closer on our farm sim setup here for the recording studio of being able to record these videos with the full steering wheel setup that I've been using in my live streams. If you're a normal viewer just watching the videos, I do live stream on Tuesday and Thursdays on the channel, usually around 9 p.m. Eastern time. So we usually have a good time with that. But my big push lately has been wanting to get into more of the full immersion experience with the steering wheel and everything, have a little bit smoother driving and such. You know, you can definitely tell that I drive with a keyboard here in most of my videos, and I'd love to get switched over here for the video content creation part of it to also be able to use the same setup that we're using on the streaming setup right now. So there's a few more components that are going to go into place for that, but hopefully soon we'll see a improvement in the realism on the channel here. I think for me, one of the things I've always loved about playing Farm Sim is you know, trying to do it realistically, maybe not as realistic as possible, but I've had a lot of fun with it here, and what I want to do in an upcoming series is see if we can do more of a realistic challenge. Maybe I'll do a short series, because I'm not sure how long I can stomach it, where I try to do everything first person for a period of time. See if I could get through one full year of first person driving in everything, and for that I'm definitely going to require a steering wheel. I wouldn't be able to do that with the keyboard and mouse setup alone, I don't think. So we're going to give that a shot, and the main reason for that is actually because when I've got pedals to help me drive and stop, that frees up my hands to use the keys to better control my camera and do things like that while I'm driving. So I think that that's going to really add a new flavor here to the channel if we can pull that off. So stay tuned for that. It might also end up being done as part of you know, maybe an old iron type series. I know a lot of people like when I bust out some of that older equipment on a smaller farm, so we might look into that. This farm, I think we're going to continue to start to expand. I'm liking that we're picking up more land. We've got some bigger equipment, so I really want to see us keep moving forward here and growing this farm and getting to be a little bit bigger. That's part of the fun of playing on a 4X or even bigger maps, is that you can get out there and stretch your legs a little bit. All right, we're almost done with the inner part of this field here. I'm just cleaning up the little bits I missed over on the angled row, and I think I've got just one more pass here. I'm trying to decide what I want to do about this outside edge that we left, if I want to try and cut it now, or maybe wait until we rake everything else up and then cut it, just so that I don't have extra grass laying around on the field. It's very tricky, very tricky. I guess we'll cut it because I want to get the mower off of the field and out of the way here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, I think, crowd myself off of the edge of the field pretty far and get a round of grass out there. And then we'll come back and maybe see if I can grab the clover in a second pass. I think that's what I should have done in the first place. So, for example, I'm going to make sure I'm getting the grass. Well, I don't know. We didn't leave that much clover. Maybe we're just gonna do it. We're gonna go for all the material I can get, and I think it's converting that clover into grass as I do this, because the grass pile looks about the same as it was. It's just picking the first material it sees that I'm cutting to drop onto the ground. So we're gonna just run with this, and we'll get a little bit more regular hay to put up into the harvester there, which will be useful for the TMR mix anyway. So not really a bad thing per se. It's just a little wonky is all. And yeah, this is a nice clean windrow here. It looks like it's all normal hay for the most part, so we shouldn't have any problems picking this up before we start raking. That's my plan. I'm going to come out here and we're going to just grab this first headland pass completely, and then we'll get the rake out here and get the clover off of the field. That's going to work out the best, I think. With that out of the way, let me just run this guy over here. I'm going to park him over by the alfalfa field. In a perfect world, I would start a worker off on this. However, I don't think Courseplay is going to be able to handle this field. Maybe he could. I don't know. It's going to be tight. I think I'd rather do it manually after the fact. I think I'll do what I just did there, but I'll do it first, which is mow a path of grass around the outside and try and delete as little of the alfalfa as I can when I do that, and then we'll tackle the inner part of the field. But before we get into all that, let's finish up this clover first. I'm really curious to see how much clover we get off of that field. And I think what I'm going to do is open up this barn, and we're going to dump that clover hay straight into the barn here and store it in the animal pen so that we can see how much feed we're going to have for these new cows. I think that's our best bet. We had both these wagons already hooked to each other. I probably shouldn't be pulling both of them with the forage harvester, but they are empty. And I'm going to just run these both out to the field with us, and that way we can just get the job done, and then I'll grab a tractor and bring them back up to the yard and get them emptied out once they're full. But this is going to be the quickest way for us to get started. And yeah, we'll just drop the back trailer off as soon as we get in the driveway here. I think we're going to, luckily, they're set up in a way I can use the front trailer for the hay and then the back trailer for the clover. The reason that's important is the barn doesn't have that high of a doorway, and I'm worried I won't be able to get into that little barn with this side shield up on the trailer here. So we're going to use that one for the hay. Should work out pretty good. And since we're facing this way, I guess we're just going to go around the field counterclockwise today. Maybe we'll jump in cab a little bit here. When I can drive straight, I find it pretty easy to do the pickup jobs from an in-cab view from time to time. As long as the windrow isn't too wide where we start missing bits, helps me actually keep it nice and centered here. We're not exactly on the field. We had the harvest map up for just a second there. I was kind of curious to see where our yields were on this field. But now that I'm off the field with the harvester, we're not seeing any of that information. And I'm getting a fair amount of hay, actually, off of this field. We're already at 20%, which is pretty good. If I swap that over to our tons view, we got a half ton of hay off of the field already. That's doing great. I do think that as we double up our cows here, we are going to run into problems with feed. I think I don't have enough acres of corn planted to keep up with all the cows that we have incoming. That's my biggest fear right now, is that I've misjudged how much feed we're going to need in the coming year. We're doing good now. I know we've got enough feed to survive until our next silage cutting. I'm just worried that I didn't think about how much feed we were going to need for the following season here. And we're going to come up short, which is going to be very interesting come next spring/summer while we're trying to keep our herd productive here. But we got time. We'll figure that out. Maybe even in the fall here, if I get real nervous about it, I'll find another field on the map that's got corn that we can purchase and cut some more silage. I suppose I could always chop some of our other stuff, but I'd really like to keep the soybeans and whatnot as our, what do you call it, cash crop, so that we can pay for some different things. But, you know, we can always chop other crops, I guess, in Farm Sim here especially. Now, let me see. We got about 1.3 tons of hay there off of the field. That's not too shabby. I'm going to hook up to this other wagon now, and we're going to see how much clover we've got. Oh, that's right. Before we do that, I need to get the rake out here, and I'm looking at this little hay strip here. We need to deal with that. Maybe I'll try and pick that hay up with this other wagon first before we get the rake. That's what we'll do. I'm also looking at this clover. I know I had the conditioner on. I'm just not 100% sure in my mind whether or not this is clover hay on the ground right here, or if it's just a regular cut clover. So we're gonna have to find that out here in a minute. I'm trying to be careful not to delete too much. I was just wanting to get a little bit more of that hay out of the way. It'll be less likely to cause us problems with the clover pickup. The piles on the ground don't look that tall for clover is kind of my worry right now, is why I'm mentioning it. It looks like we got a lot more grass off of the edges of the field than we did in the rows on the clover. All right, we're back out here with the 7810 and the rake. We'll see what we can do to get this all cleaned up. Shouldn't take more than a couple of minutes here. This is a pretty efficient setup for this. I don't think I'm going to get more than 2 passes with the mower though, so I'm not going to worry too much about where I'm at. I'm just going to get the GPS lines set up here, and then everything else will work itself out as we make our rounds. We might have a little bit of a crooked start there. I was off by a couple of degrees, but I think I'm good now. And let's think here. Maybe we'll go around the outside once first, just to get our scraggly bits on the curves all wrapped up. Oop, there's the row. I guess I should just take the row, even though there's not a lot there. It'll at least line up well for everything else. And it looks like I've got a little bit of an offset, which I'm not going to fix at this point. Or maybe I should. How would I fix my offset? Why do I have an offset? Inquiring minds want to know. Well, it is what it is. Although now I'm in this weird position where, because I didn't start out, I'm having to overlap here a little bit. Let me see. Oh, that's because of my offset. No, see, it's my width isn't set correctly. Oh, it's a mess. All right, hang on. We're spinning around. We're gonna try and straighten this mess out. Everything's a mess. I wasn't lined up very well, I don't think, when I forgot to set my auto width correctly when I got going here. So we're going to come back up here, and I'm going to just GPS align to this track, and we'll do everything from here. That way I should be grabbing 2 mowing widths every pass. We'll see how this works. And I should probably pick up on the ends or whatever, but we're just gonna turn right around here. We'll deal with it when we're trying to get all of this off of the field. I'm leaving a little sliver here. Like, I don't understand why this rake isn't doing a better job here. Let me see if I can... I've got it as wide as it'll go, but I feel like the GPS width is just not cutting it here. Like, I'm definitely leaving bits over here that shouldn't be there. I mean, I could always adjust my GPS width down some, I suppose. Maybe that's gonna be the answer to our problems here. I mean, it thinks that it needs to be wider than it is, but we'll go with that and see if it helps us out any. I shouldn't have to take this many passes to rake up a simple grass field. I could have just done it by hand and eyeballed the whole thing by now if I really wanted to. But alas, it is what it is. We're learning, trying to figure out how this rake works. Honestly, somebody recommended that I should switch to a merger in a comment on a previous video, and I think you're right. I think we may have to replace this rake because this is proving to be a very frustrating experience here for sure. I've got lots of clover getting left around, so I'm gonna be tackling this both ways. We're gonna see if it's gonna clean itself up as I do these rounds, and if not, well, we're just gonna be extremely frustrated about it. All right, let's see how this pass goes, because I see that I left a hole round here in the grass. What I'm most worried about is until I pile it up here, it's actually really hard to see where the clover is under the stubble that's left. So we've got to make sure we're kind of getting in here and getting it all raked into a pile, or I'll never see it to get it picked up here with the forage harvester. We do seem to be getting everything though on this second pass at least. We'll flip back around here over the row we just did on the last pass and see if we can repeat the experience though. Alright, so if this is working, I'm hoping I pick up all of this other row that we left behind over here. It looks like we're getting it all now, which is great. Alright, we're taking what should be the last round up here. It looks like GPS has held out for us here. We found the magic width that everything seemed to work fine with, so we're not leaving any straggler bits anymore, even when my edge of my rake ends up right in the middle of the windrow. So at least something has worked out for us today. And I got a little bit of a mess down on this end of the headland with all the little tiny bits everywhere. I don't know, we might take one more pass around the headland just to try and clean those up, make it easier to pick up on the way back down. But yeah, we've got a little bit of clover here all ready to go. I'm curious to get this picked up and into the barn and see how much we actually landed up with. Oh, we didn't quite get that little bit. Interesting. I'm going to set this right back down here. We're going to just clean some of this up manually. Try and pull this one over a little bit straighter. And like I said, I'm going to take this around and clean up all the little missed bits where we were turning around with the rake. I think this will give us the best chance of having all of this get picked up by the forage harvester. There we go. And I think we're all done with this part of the job, so let's zip back down here. I just want to check and see if I need any cleanup on this end. It looks pretty good. We'll fold the rake up, and I'm going to drop this rake off right up by the alfalfa field here as well. And then we'll jump into the forage harvester. Alright, we're all lined up here. Let's see what we can do to pick up this clover. Nothing. We can't pick up the clover because we didn't update our forage harvester to be able to handle clover, apparently. Let's take a look here. Well, that is correct, folks. I didn't do the edit that I thought I did. We only added hay. We didn't do anything here for clover or alfalfa. So now I'm trying to think about what we want to do about that. You know, for today, I think we're just going to bale it up. I'm not going to be too worried about it. We are just putting them right into the barns. We're not trying to use it as a mix or anything crazy. So I'm going to drive this back up to the farm. We're going to go grab the baler. I knew I hanged onto that baler for a reason. And we will we'll jump out here and bale a little bit of clover. All right, I went ahead and grabbed our 4440 here, and we're gonna get this baler out here. I think it should have more than enough power to get this thing up and down these hills. The baler does seem to run pretty good, and it is picking it up as clover hay, which is great. I did want the hay bonus over just regular grass. And I really hope these are going to go right into those barns. I think they're set up to be able to accept them. We're going to find out, though. I don't have a bale shredder or anything, but the other barns that we tested, you could just toss the bales straight into. So I suspect this is going to work out for us. We'll see. We'll see. We're following that curved row that we made at the end there, rather than missing a bit. So now I'm going to have a headland bit on the very top there that I got to come back and handle on this end. Well, my goofy driving catching up with us as we hit the baling stage here. That's all right. We're about to get to our first bale here, and I can't remember if I have automatic drop turned on. I do not. Let's turn on automatic drop. There we go. And I'm kind of curious to see, whoops, I forgot. We got to wait for it to close before we start going forward. There we go. I'm kind of curious to see how many bales we'll end up getting off of this field. I don't expect a ton, but the lazy part of me is actually hoping we can get them all onto a single trailer rather than having to make multiple trips out here with the bale trailer. I'm thinking that'll be possible. We got a pretty decent sized bale trailer there. And I'm just spinning back around. We're going to clean up this headland as long as we're down here, since we were on a short, awkward row there anyway. We weren't really lined up to go down the field. This will make life a little bit easier, I suspect. And then I'm going to... what am I going to do? We're going to circle all the way back to the other end of the field here, I think, and take the long row down so that I'm all set up to follow the curved headland pass on the other end as well. So here we go. I've been going a little bit slower than I can drive, just making it so I'm not all over the place, but we're going to pop it up into 7th gear here on the long row and get cruising here. 11 miles an hour, not too shabby. If I go up into 8th gear, do I go faster than 11? Nope. All right, we'll keep it down in 7th. Gives us a little bit more power on the hills and such. There we go. 2nd bale complete, and we haven't even made it all the way around the field yet. Very nice. We have left ourselves a little bit of an awkward spot here, so we're going to try and nab that and then swing around here without falling off of the edge of that hill into the lake. That would have been a bad time, probably. Got all of our little curvy bits here. Good deal. And we're already at halfway to the next bale. That's crazy. We're doing better than I was expecting, looking at the crop on the field initially here. So this is awesome. Try and make our way up the hill here. We've got a little bit more power problems going up the hill with this tractor in 7th gear. It's catching up to speed though. We're trying to do a better job today of actually stopping and unloading the bale, rather than half the time I feel like I just keep driving and we lose so much hay, leave little spots all over the field. We're getting there today, folks. We're not being nearly as impatient as normal. I suppose we can even go in cab for a bit here. There's not a lot of clover on this run. This was one of the passes where we were dealing with our GPS issues, so there's hardly anything to pick up here, but we're getting it all the same. I have to say I'm not the biggest fan of round baling in general, but this little Vermeer baler seems to have worked out all right for us on the farm here so far. No major complaints. The rake, on the other hand, has been a little bit more of a disaster, but that's a whole deal in and of itself. Let's back up a few feet here. Now, the downside to doing it this way is I have no idea what just happened with that bale. Oh, it's gonna roll. Stop, stop. Don't go into the water, please. We're trying to find a spot that I can set this where it'll just hang out. There we go. Yeah, I don't want to be trying to find lost bales at the bottom of a lake today. I think that would deter from our fun. Plus, if it rolls down there and I forget about it, then we start getting random objects on the map that are going to lag us out. We don't need any of that happening either. And this pile's actually picking up great. We're getting all kinds of clover. I like it. If we drop that other bale off right before we turned around, that means this pass here alone was almost worth a bale. Not quite. We're at 89%. So just shy of a bale on a rundown. And then we've got a much shallower amounts over on this side, so we won't get quite as much, but I think it's going to work out. We should get maybe one more full bale off of this field after this bale that I'm dropping right now. Let's find out. I think it's going to be one more full bale, and then we'll have some left over in the baler, obviously. I think I can drop a partial bale, though. We'll find out. All right, the final pass. This windrow doesn't seem to be quite as full as the nice one we took on the other side here, so we'll get our bale, but we're not going to have nearly as much left over as I was initially expecting. We should get full right as we get up on top of the hill here. Maybe 10 or 15% left after this is my guess. We'll find out if we can actually drop the partial bale now. We're getting to more than I thought we would, but 30%. I don't know if that's enough to actually create the bale or not, but we'll find out. I'm going to take it down to the other end of the field here, though, I think, before we try to dump it out. And worst case, I guess I could keep the material in here, and then when we start harvesting the alfalfa, I think this will just convert over to alfalfa once I start putting the different fill type into the baler. So we'll try and dump it first, though. I think I'd rather have the separate bale, but I'm not too worried about it. F1, let's see. Nope, I don't have an unload bale option. Well, that answers that question. Let's just run this up here by the alfalfa field as well. And we'll go. Actually, we're going to leave this here for a second. I'm going to run back up to the farm here, and we're going to grab the pickup and the bale trailer. And we're going to get these bales off of the field real quick, just because I want to make sure this is all going to work out the way I think it is. Because if it doesn't, we may switch tactics on the alfalfa field over here and modify the forage head to pick that up after all. I'm not really sure yet. We're doing a bit of experimenting here, and honestly, I think I'd rather just take this job all the way through to completion today rather than start working on the next field here. We'll see how this all works out. This pickup mod actually has a collision on the tailgate, so I've always got to remember to put that down before we hook things up or bad things happen. Luckily, I've remembered today. And we're going to get this right out there. We didn't have that many bales, so this should be a pretty easy job. Getting the bales back up to the farm here. And in case anybody's curious, today we are going to be cheesy. We're going to pick them up and put them right on. As I was talking about in the beginning of the episode, though, I am working on getting my full setup going with the steering wheel and the joysticks and all of that, so that moving forward, I'd really like to actually do some of these jobs the right way, using the equipment, the front loader, etc. I just can't stand trying to do that stuff with a mouse, and I could never get used to using a controller Yeah, I do need to use a joystick. I don't know, call me old-fashioned, having actually used the front loaders and stuff on the farm when I was farming. It just feels more natural, so we're going to be getting that all set up here soon. And that's going to let us do some of these jobs more realistically. But let's face it, sometimes it's just quicker and easier to jump out here and leverage a little bit of super strength to help us out and get a job done in an expeditious amount of time. We don't have that many bales out here either. I think I've got one more down on the end here that we've got to grab, and we'll be good to go. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we ended up with 6 bales total off of this field. Honestly, I was expecting more. I was expecting probably at least 8. Either way, we'll get this last bale up here. We'll strap it down. And I'm going to take these right up into that barn. I'm really curious to see if we can unload them directly in there and how much 4.2 tons of feed is going to do to that feed bar in there. I don't know what this converts to in liters yet. And that's got me curious. Now, we've got to come right in over here. I'm not sure I've got enough room to pull through with this big trailer, so I'm going to kind of try and inch in here. Don't want to take the mirror off on the pickup either. And let's see. I don't remember which way this thing dumps now. I'm going to just unstrap it and see if it starts taking the bales without having to actually unload them off of the trailer. Not so much. So let's load this up. There we go. I'm gonna just dump them off the side here real quick, and hopefully I can push them in by hand here in a minute, and we'll see what happens. I think at least one of them just rolled in there. There we go. The ones down on that end are the feed trigger, it looks like. Perfect. All right, so now we've got 54,000 liters. So if we just extrapolate that the adult cows are eating about 24, 25 a day, we've got a couple of days worth of feed in there off of that one field. That's not overly encouraging. My entire field is only going to feed cows for a couple of days. We're definitely going to have to rethink our approach. I feel like the hay is a lot more voluminous than that clover field was. Although that field isn't that big, I guess, and compared to the grass field that we've got over here, we were getting a lot more grass off of this grass field, but this grass field is a lot bigger, so that adds up in my mind, I suppose. Man, it's been kind of an interesting episode for me. I'm trying to figure out what our plans are going to be to keep all of these cows fed. I'm hoping that the baby cows eat a lot less food. And when I put them all over here, we'll be able to kind of track their progress on that. So, however, I think we're going to wrap up today's episode here. I'm going to look at the mod a little bit, and maybe we're going to edit the forage harvester, I think, to pick up the clover and alfalfa moving forward. I think I prefer that method. It's a little bit cleaner, and we're going to give that a try just because I'm kind of curious about it. But we're going to do that next episode. That's all for today. Keterk out. I'm all over the place, dude. I don't know what I'm doing.